Hello, everyone. I'm Sissy Ma, Managing Director of the Grow and Sell Your Biz and the host of the Capital Raising Show. This podcast will be once a week, and my hope is that by showcasing successful capital raises, you will understand how and where to raise capital and avoid making the same mistakes others have. We're extremely lucky today to have on the show Rico Pang, the co-founder and global managing partner of Sanctum Global Partner Ventures. With 15 years of experience in emerging markets across property, supply chain management, e-commerce, FinTech, private equity, and publicly listed corporate management. Rico, thanks for coming onto the Capital Raising Show. How are you?
I'm good. Thanks for inviting me, Sissy. It's my pleasure.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you. So you have a wealth of experience in tech and financing, and also on both both sides, on the founding side and also capital raising side. So today, let's focusing on the capital raising experiences that you have had. I guess maybe we start with Sanctum Global Ventures, if you want to go there.
Yeah.
Do you want to give us a little bit of background on how it started and where you got to with Sanctum?
Sure. We started Sanctum in 2019 together with my partner, Danson Teo. The Sanctum Ventures started around last year together with our partners in America, R12 Ventures, our sister fund. It's the fifth fund that they're doing with us. So they have about 30 years of venture buildings and incubation acceleration. Okay. So along the way, we found that helping a lot of companies to fundraise, to actually support the business in terms of innovations, PR, marketing, branding, and of course, one of the things that we found that is most important is the storytelling of their business. Right. So the story has to make sense. Then the business model, the revenue, go-to-market strategies has to be in sync with what the investors are looking at in terms of the return on investments over a period of time. Does the go-to-market strategies makes it the business attractive? What is the unique selling point of your business? I think that's most relevant to most of the investors because there's so many startups, so many people fundraising in terms of different stages from seed, pre-A's and A's, B, C. So I think that itself, for any entrepreneurs out there, I think making sure that your business solve a certain problems will be the most important thing now, because if your business can really solve a problem in the business or the market, then it makes your business real and relevant in the local community or local society. It doesn't mean that the business has to be duplicable globally. We observed that some of the business model could work because of certain regulations, cultures, or financial regulations that only allow that to happen. But doesn't mean that it will work in overseas. For example, we realized that privacy regulations is different in different countries. And in country like China, they can actually execute those sort of business model, but it can't execute in Europe. Some of the sensors or monitoring devices can't be implemented because of that. So the local entrepreneur should know the local environment better than anybody else. And they have the highest chance of successful because they know how things work, they know their peers, they know their friends, the network around them. So that empowers them to actually be the most updated and most influential people in the local market, and their chances of success is much more higher. So looking at all these different factors and issues that entrepreneurs face, we help them to rationalize and analyze their situation before we help them fundraise. So that's pretty much what we do. We do of course we have to do a very serious and also professional due diligence on them personally and also their companies, and of course if they have any other investors or shareholders, to make sure that there's no conflict of interest and they are sound, ethically
Mm-hmm.
good people for long term.
Right.
Most of them, most of us are doing that because we have to make sure that, you know, if we are grooming a unicorn towards IPO, you
Mm.
know,
Yeah. Yeah.
all these things has to be in place. And most of the companies are looking into IPO eventually when they start looking for funding after being stealth for some time. So I think looking at all these different aspects of a business, making sure that, you know, they can go far, you know,
Mm.
these are things that we actually look into.
Mm-hmm. So you're looking to help them to go a long way, not just looking at the next fundraise, but you know, up to IPO, right?
Oh
So
yes, most of the investors will look into a business long term.
mm,
And of course, for investors' point of view, what is a return on investment over a period of time? The shortest to highest times of return on investment will be the investors' um, investment strategy.
yeah.
If the company is going for IPO, then, you know, they don't mind putting the money there for a longer period of time, or even put in more investment to make sure that the business can actually grow. At the same time, they will also use their network, their resources around them to help the business.
Mm,
After all, they are also a minority shareholder of the company.
mm-hmm.
So that is where investors will actually look at in terms of just putting in money. They want to be a smart investors,
Yep.
putting
Mm,
in smart money and
mm,
actually empowering the entrepreneurs to have a higher chance of success
mm,
in a short period of time. So for entrepreneurs looking for a strategic investors, it's very important. You need to know what sort of investors will actually fit yourself and your businesses, and
mm.
what sort of resources they have existing that actually can empower the business. Yeah.
Yeah. Can you give us like, some examples of your recent experiences with this?
Recent experiences that we are working on at the moment is actually, for example, a green energy innovation where power could be generated not using lithium, using a very environmental friendly solutions that has no harm to people when they use it. And the difference is the power can be stored over 50 to 100 years
Mm.
compared to normal conventional lithium batteries you have. The moment it was being
Wow.
manufactured, power actually decreases over time. But the power
God.
that they have, the battery that they have,
Uh-huh.
can be activated with just water.
Wow.
So looking at technology like this, it doesn't
Mhm.
mean that, you know, it's suitable for everything. You
It's
know,
a bit of a
it's
moonshot, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
Um, and we need to find the right investors for them. So we've been looking high and low, like what sort of investors would be interested in this sort of tech. What if they have done something similar or did some battery investment in the past, but they may be having a fear like it may not go
Mhm.
well if they invest in
Mhm.
traditional battery. So a lot of companies are doing autonomous vehicle
Mhm.
who are also looking at this sort of tech because it could be a good tech when they have a standalone battery, or even in like countries with lots of catastrophic or natural disaster, they'll be very interested in such tech because sometimes what happens, there's no electricity for a few days.
Mm.
So
Yeah.
this acts as a backup power source
Yeah.
to them,
Mm.
and even literally people in they may be using these sort of technology solutions because it's a good source of power. Finding the right strategic investors was not easy,
Mm.
especially over the pandemic time,
Yeah.
COVID-19. Um, we did manage to find a few investors. We got them to pitch in one of our, we call it a FIDO launch pad by Sanctum Ventures, so that we selected like them to pitch out of like 150 projects that we have screened through.
Wow.
And they are doing pretty well.
Mm.
The investors that heard their pitch really got interested and follow up with many calls to talk to the founders, talk to the inventors, to go through the IPs, patents that they've filed, which are the ones that has been confirmed, which are the ones are still in progress over the last 5 years, things like that.
Mm.
So we can see that the strategic investors are looking at ways how they can apply the technologies and the innovations into some of the existing portfolios that
Mm.
have invested to
Yeah.
help them grow the revenue, grow the business globally. At the same time, the business the founders of the team we're very excited because they are really looking at manufacturing plants for these products, talking to some of these innovation centers, and getting grants as well from government, because
Yeah.
it's a very, very
innovative.
very good initiative. I mean, for our environment, imagine all the batteries in the future, can be biodegradable. We don't have any problem in terms of recycling, of the waste compared to the lithium batteries. So the figures are pretty alarming that we didn't know. Even myself, we were not aware that how serious this problem is, like in terms of the problems with lithium batteries that is being, staggered up in the whole country, in the whole world. So I think that itself are some of these inventions, innovation that will be coming and changing the way we look at batteries.
So were you looking at, for this particular one, were you looking at impact investors, or were you looking at strategic, like battery suppliers and things like that? Or you got both?
Point in time, we're looking at a bit of both, but we are looking more into the strategic investors because we want to scale the business as fast as possible, because you and I know that battery is a volume game.
Yeah.
But the more battery you manufacture, the cost, the economy of cost will be lower. So we're looking at the strategic investors to raise another like 20 million-ish, so that they can actually have a very good start, very sound financial status where they don't have to worry about money. They can just go full force and set up manufacturing plants and partnerships globally and scale. Every business has a different momentum when you move them. So this is a unique case. I wouldn't say that normally a Series A project will raise like that much money sometimes. But for this particular business, looking at how the team and the business model is working, we will find the optimizing point and the angle to support the business. Just as an example.
That's a great example. Yeah. So what, in terms of Sanctum, if someone wanted to, pitch to you guys, what do they need to provide? And what deals you guys are looking for? Industries?
Well, okay. So normally we will ask for 2 pages first, and if it looks good, then we'll ask for the investment pitch deck. Then we'll conduct the evaluation and some basic due diligence, and also we'll go through our investment committee to discuss about it. We are looking at industries in the FinTech, AI, SaaS tech, green energy, agricultural tech, med tech, space tech even. We're looking at something with innovation and emerging sector of the technologies globally, so that it could be used into the smart cities businesses and projects. So I think that's where we are looking at cybersecurity issues, engineering, construction, sensors, or anything that can be used in any smart cities globally. So that's where our focus of investments are. We also look into like autonomous vehicle, green vehicles of solutions, because we see that in the next 5 to 10 years, we'll be seeing a lot of autonomous driving vehicle on the streets. We are now calling them robotaxi, and I don't see myself like really buying more cars in the future. I would say like I want to invest in a robotaxi and like make money for me. So things like this change the way we look at investments and the lifestyle we have. Definitely in 2 years' time.
That's great. So in terms of you had some, when we were chatting before, you said that there were some advice you can give people, people who were wanting to I guess raise capital. Apart from what you said before, what do you have maybe 3 things that you can say, take away these 3 things if you wanted to raise capital, organize a raise, a Series A raise or a seed raise, and what do they need to look out for?
I think the 3 things that I would give today is actually never give up as an entrepreneur.
Never give up.
To what you're doing. So whatever happens in whatever times, even over the pandemic or anything around the world, that's happening. you need to still focus on your business, which is the second value I want to say. Don't give up. Second is focus on the things you want to achieve,
Yeah.
regardless of global situation, recession, pandemic, whatever it is. Stay focused.
Yeah.
Never give up. And the third thing is listen to the people around you and find the soft spot for yourself and what is the lowest hanging fruit that you can achieve step by step towards your vision and your mission of your business. I think that the most modern thing that I believe, the attitude of the entrepreneurs, the businesses as a team, when you have a team, you need to listen to each other and use the strength and weaknesses of each other to your advantage. Way, I believe there are lots of opportunities out there. We are living in a world of abundance. So they need to look at things in a more optimistic way as possible. And that would be my takeaways for today.
Very good. Persevere, right? Yeah, never give up. I think that's great advice. Thank you, Rico.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for your time. Yeah, so thanks very much for your insights, and you provided really great value for our listeners. And thank you for listening, everyone. If you want to hear more about this topic or others, please go to my website. As Richard Branson said, learn to raise capital by any means necessary. Tune in again next week on the Capital Raising Show to hear another successful capital raising experience. Thank you again for listening.